stimulate the most lively and intense debate and controversy, but ensuring that those assumptions are maintained. Anybody questions those assumptions, they're just not part of the discussion.
So
that's an effective
like
propaganda.
So we feel like we're part of the decision-making process when we're actually just cheerleading for what the elite wanted before.
Yeah, we're choosing among things that concentrated power really doesn't care that much about. I mean, you see this very clearly. I mean, take, say, one of the major issues for the public, look at polls, and it's understandable, are these international economic agreements, the things that are called free trade agreements. So that's not what they are. Those are very big issues for the public. I mean, people are very much worried about, the trade deficit because they know that affects their jobs.
China has a 40% tariff on us. We have a 2% on them. They call that free trade. You're not an isolationist, are you?
No, I'm not. But this stuff has nothing to do with free trade.
No, but that's what they say. I mean,
yeah,
that's what they say.
Right, of course. Now, but what the point I'm trying to make is this: these are very big issues for the population. They are also big issues for the business world. But the population and the business world happens to be on opposite sides. Therefore, the issues do not arise in political campaigns. So, like, for example, the free trade area of the Americas, which is an enormous agreement, with a lot of consequences, that has yet to be discussed in the media. It's been negotiated for 3 years. It finally broke through at the Summit of the Americas meeting in Quebec. There was such a furor over it, had to be mentioned. But it's been under negotiation for a couple of years by corporate managers, by trade ministers of governments who are basically corporate representatives. The media know all about it, but they don't want the public to know. It did not come up in the political campaign. The nature of these arrangements has yet to be made public. I mean, you can sort of figure it out if you do a research project. But these things are not made available to the public, and it's for a very clear reason.
Our final segment with the professor with solutions coming up.
This is GCN, the Genesis Communications Radio Network. Are you one of the many people discovering
Welcome back, my friends. We've only got about 8 or 9 minutes left, or really about 5 minutes left with our guest, Noam Chomsky, professor from MIT, one of the experts there on the globalists and their activities manipulating our minds. Sir, other key areas of manipulation that people can become conscious of, because if we become conscious of this propaganda, it actually becomes, in my experience, an irritant, as you were saying earlier, in Russia, and acts against them. And then what are some solutions to counter this?
Well, I think the main solution is the kind of thing you're doing. I mean, people have to be offered the opportunity and encouraged to take the opportunity to think critically, not to believe, not to uncritically accept what you're told, to ask the question, what are the assumptions? Do I accept those assumptions? To search for information and analysis over a wide range. I wouldn't want anybody to believe what I'm saying. I mean, they should ask, is it true? Let's find out if it's true. Let's check out the information from a variety of sources. When you have a radio, it can be a very important, I mean, it's an extremely important instrument. There can be real involvement in interchange, and that can be an highly important educational instrument, and there are others. I mean,
so it's not just sound bites. People have to actually espouse ideas.
No, these are not trivial issues. You have to really think them through. The thing that I mentioned, for example, the international economic agreements, those, you have to think about them. You have to learn about them. You can't just listen to a slogan and say, okay, that's what I think.
Well, these are unelected, unaccountable international boards controlled by the top 20 corporations and banks telling us they're going to run our lives. I mean, that's a horrible idea, but most Americans don't know that.
Yeah, but they can find out. I mean, they can find out. The information is available. You have to work to get it. It's an extremely hard thing to do by yourself. If people are really atomized and separated from one another and spending their entire lives, trying either to put food on the table or to get deeper in debt with things they are told to buy but don't want, then they really are controlled. I mean, people have to be able to get together. Even in the sciences, the way you come up with ideas is by working together. You don't sit alone somewhere and have to figure out how the world works.
Well, that's like these $150 Nike tennis shoes that are so ugly I wouldn't touch them if they were free, but the young people are just begging and have to have them or they're not human.
Yeah, and if you watch, I sometimes watch with television with my grandchildren. What they are subjected to is criminal. They're barraged by propaganda, teaching them from infancy that the only thing in life is getting those tennis shoes or those Pokemon cards or whatever it may be, and that is really a way to control people in a very ugly fashion. People have to learn how to escape from that. It's a hard struggle.
What are some of the other facets, other propaganda venues and systems they use against us?
Well, if you look at the way issues are, all the way from the elite media to the educational system to commercial propaganda.
I found that sitcoms and drama shows are full of the most. I was watching NYPD Blue Monday night or Tuesday night, and they were choking and torturing someone, saying, we'll frame you, and these are the good guy heroes doing it. Then I read a law enforcement magazine, they're saying, hey, we might need to institute torture.
Yeah, well, I agree. I don't know much about, it's a part of the culture I just don't know much about, but I'm sure you're right that the framing and the structure of sitcoms and popular entertainment is designed, and probably consciously designed, to instill a certain kind of attitude, interest, concern that will marginalize people, that will keep them away from the basic decisions and choices about how to run their lives and how to run their society. Because the idea is that's not supposed to be in the public domain. That's supposed to be in private, powerful circle. And take, say, these trade agreements that are coming along. One crucial part of them is to take what are called services and hand them over to private power. Well, services are just about anything that people would care about. Health, education, water, almost anything that would be in the arena, in the public arena, where people would want to make decisions. That has to be taken out of the public arena, put into private hands, unaccountable private hands, and then, what's left for the public is which kind of shoes I buy.
But these private corporations are taking on governmental power, and take the Lower Colorado River Authority here in Texas. They're private, but they have SWAT teams and will arrest you.
That's right.
And it's the ultimate tyranny. And then they say, hey, we're a corporation. You can't see our records.
That's right.
You can't ask questions. Two more quick questions, sir. I want to bring up a fact. Okay, semantics. You say democratic countries. Okay, fine. I hear Republicans, Democrats saying democracy. That's a semantical deception. The Founding Fathers said a democracy is horrible. It's two wolves and a sheep voting on what's for dinner. A republic has a rule of law, separation of powers, a Bill of Rights that you can't violate. In a democracy, 51% say all the black people are killed or all the white people are killed, and it's done. Or take that farm, it's done. Right there, we hear this word democracy all the time. Well, we're a republic, and there's a big difference.
Actually, I think the real issues are elsewhere. The distinction between republic and democracy that you're describing was not really what concerned the Founding Fathers. What they were concerned about, you read, say, James Madison, the main framer, what he was concerned about was he wanted to have a system in which power would lie in the hands of what he called the wealth of the nation, the more capable class of men. And the reason was because the goal of government, this phrase, is to protect the minority of the opulent against the majority. So the system was designed to try to ensure that the wealth of the nation would essentially be in control and that the general public would be fragmented and marginalized and so on. Now, if you look over the course of time...
A middle class flourished here, though, Professor.
Yeah. Pardon?
The middle class flourished here. 4% of the population with half the wealth.
Well, that's not the middle. 4% of the population isn't the middle class. The middle class is the middle. But I think, look, over the centuries, there have been a lot of struggles against this elitist concept, and the options for public participation did increase substantially.
But was it elitist for them to say that we would all be armed and have the right to keep and bear arms?
Well, that's not what they meant back at that time. What they meant is you read the Second Amendment, they